Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first ever Star Wars The Old Republic Facebook live stream.
Nice to have y'all. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. My name is Eric Musco. I am the community manager, and I'm joined by Charles Boyd, our creative director.
Hello.
So today, on our first live stream, we're going to talk about the evolution of story in Star Wars The Old Republic. Kind of where we've been 5 years ago to today as we moved into our newest expansion. So why don't we just dive right in?
Let's do it.
Yeah. So Charles, as creative director for Star Wars The Old Republic, where have you and the team kind of drawn inspiration from when you're getting into the stories?
I think really the first real key point of that is that we're all just huge Star Wars nerds, right? I mean, that's ultimately what it's going to come down to, is to make all of these Star Wars stories, these adventures over all these years, you really got to be a huge fan of the property, and that's something that's just really deep in all of our hearts, right?
Right.
So for me, it's, we watch all the old movies all the time, binge watching Clone Wars on Netflix lately, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we're here in the BioWare offices. I don't know if people can see it. There's a Malgus and a Jedi armor set like 10
my
feet
desk is
behind
covered in toys.
Right.
I think we're all just really passionate about Star Wars and all of the opportunities that universe has. Right, there's so much depth to Star Wars. You can tell almost any kind of story, but it all can also come back to those kind of hallmarks, those touchstones that make a Star Wars story really great or really recognizable. Right, like in our most recent expansion, Knights of the Eternal Throne. And even before it, Knights of the Fallen Empire, really honing in on the family angle, right? Like family is such a core part of a Star Wars story. It's especially when you look at the films, it's something that every part of that story ultimately comes down to this family relationship that has been broken or is unknown to the characters involved.
Sure.
And that's something that we really look to hone in on for our own story as well, right? To kind of seize on that same drama, that same epic feel that everyone connects with. We all have a family, right? Of some form or another, and it's something that everyone can relate to, and kind of give everything a grounding while all of these giant, awesome lightsaber battles and fleets and starships are blowing up and planets are exploding. All of that stuff's really big and exciting, but the thing that you can kind of connect with emotionally with the characters and with the drama they're going through, that's something where those angles really come into play.
Yeah. And so speaking of family, as anyone knows who follows fiction in general, families don't always go well when it comes to fictional stories. And so one of the things that was a bit different in Knights of the Eternal Throne is that we really focused on the mother-daughter relationship. So Senya and her daughter Valen, why did we decide to go with the mother-daughter relationship specifically in Knights of the Eternal Throne?
Yeah, I think, it's really exactly what you said. It's that it was different. It was something new. Like the year before, Knights of the Fallen Empire, we really focused on the father-son dynamic, the brother and brother dynamic. And when you, again, look at all of fiction, the mother-daughter angle is just so unexplored. It's really something that we feel like was really ripe to tell new stories, things that people could really relate to that they hadn't had the opportunity to before, right? And explore, what does it mean for this, this mother who's really concerned with justice and what's right, to have to go up against her own daughter who's become this evil, tyrannical ruler of the galaxy.
Right. Who betrayed her. Ultimately.
Yeah, exactly. I think we saw that in the cinematic, coincidentally called Betrayed.
Right.
Essentially they both feel betrayed by each other to some degree, and I think that's just a really interesting kind of angle to take on things, to see how both sides can be both right and wrong about each other and how that plays out.
Right. And so, I mean, that's a great follow-on. Is one of the things that we focus on a lot in our storytelling is being able to make those choices between right and wrong, sometimes gray and gray, and specifically in dark and light choices as it relates to Star Wars. What are some of the things that you take into consideration when you're looking at making light and dark choices? Did you weigh in what your day-to-day life is? Obviously, I don't think you're making the decision of, yes, let's send the fleet after this planet, although your life is much more exciting if that's true.
I wish.
Yeah, but how did you and the team go into writing dark and light side choices?
Yeah, I think the core of it really comes down to making it relatable, right? Like you want to make sure that it's a choice that's something I can understand kind of viscerally, something I get immediately, right? Like this is going to have this impact if I choose the light side. It's going to help these people, but maybe I'm going to sacrifice something of myself, or things, maybe I'm going to take a risk, right? That maybe things won't work out ultimately as good as I think, but I'm going to do the right thing right now. Versus, the dark side, that more quicker, more seductive path. Like this might be kind of a brutal thing to do in the moment, but maybe I believe the ultimate outcome will be better if I just make this one little sacrifice here, or I'll do this one I'm going to be cruel now, but ultimately it'll work out for the best.
The ends justify the means, right?
Exactly. That's so much the definition of a good dark side choice.
Not saying I play dark side. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the goal of a dark side choice is to make something that will make me personally feel horrible after the fact, right? Like I want to make that choice, see the ramifications, and say, oh no, I regret
made
it.
a horrible mistake.
And not even necessarily a mistake, right? It could be that logically it makes sense, right? You don't want to be psychotic evil. You want to be reasonable and relatable, but
Sure.
But still, you want to have that kind of moment of, ooh, man, I don't know. I'm doubting myself. And kind of have that dark moment within yourself as you're making that choice. That to me is the meat of it. That makes it really good.
Yeah. What would you say is your favorite dark or light side choice that you've written since you've been here?
Oh man, how do you pick? I don't know.
Which is the one that kind of, you got to that choice and you just sat back and stared at your monitor and went, I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now.
There's a moment in the Trooper storyline where a really long-time ally of yours, and potentially even a romantic interest, is in trouble, and you have to choose between helping her or helping 300 other people that you've never met, but who are also loyal soldiers, loyal allies. So it kind of comes down to that, the good needs of the many, or is it the person that I know I can rely on? Is it, the person I have a relationship versus the people I don't? Pure just numbers game. There's so many different ways to come at it, and even some of your companions will give you surprising advice in that moment about which choice to make, which was also a lot of fun to kind of see how different characters might react to it. But yeah, I think that was probably the hardest one to put together.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So certainly one of the questions that we get fairly frequently is, what is it like to work on Star Wars, to work with Lucasfilm? Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, as you mentioned, we're all big Star Wars fans, right? And so what's that like for you working with them day to day?
Yeah, it's just a fantastic opportunity, right? Like as a fan, you get to have, we don't have the literal red phone on our desk that calls them, but sure. We have a direct line to the story group. That's the men and women who are involved with every movie, every television series, every comic book, packaging of toys, everything. They're involved. They're making sure that it all fits into this greater Star Wars, field, right? That makes sure that it all is Star Wars.
Right.
And so, to get to have them reviewing all our work, they're deeply involved in as we develop the storylines to kind of make sure that it's all fitting that sense, to have that essential right off the bat check, yes, no, does this feel like Star Wars? That's an amazing thing. It's so cool to be able to just have that resource right at our fingertips and to work together with them to kind of get insight. Fortunately, not too much insight into things that are coming up. We don't really get any spoilers, which honestly, it's probably for the best. But to know that we have the top experts in Star Wars available to work together with and develop these stories is just such a cool feeling, right? You wouldn't trade it for the world.
Right. And I imagine one of the things that is advantageous almost is that we get to work in the old Republic era, right?
Exactly.
Which I imagine provides some exciting opportunities.
It really does, right? Like we get the chance to, use planets that players are familiar with, but in totally different ways, right? Like in the movies, we know Alderaan is peaceful, is have no weapons, and then but 3,000 years before, Alderaan is a war zone. There's ruling families battling against each other for control. It really lets us kind of take new spins on things and explore, what was it about this planet's history that made it become, say in Alderaan's case, become this peaceful world, had them eschew violence to that degree.
Right.
It's just such a cool opportunity. And flip side of that, we can make whole new worlds, whole new experiences that the players or the fans haven't seen before. Explore different planets, see things that, and then the whole time they get to ask, well, I didn't see this one in the movies. Did they make it? Is this place going to get blown up in the end? Like, right. You're uncertain. You don't know what it means.
Sure.
And so it's really cool to kind of dive into those and kind of extend what everyone knows of Star Wars. We've got thousands of Jedi and thousands of Sith battling each other constantly. Tons and tons of cool stories are just going to spring out of that. It's just natural.
Right. Yeah. And so for anyone that happens to just be tuning in, I'm joined by Charles Boyd to talk about kind of the evolution of story that's happened for Star Wars: The Old Republic, and that's a great segue into. In December, we celebrated our 5-year anniversary.
I know, right?
It's crazy. And like you and I have both been lucky enough to have been here for that whole ride, and you've been here even longer than I have. But we've been here for that whole journey.
Yeah, it's just been amazing.
Right. And what's it been like for you working on this story that whole time over those 5 years? And do you kind of try to keep those stories connected? Do you try to have fresh new stories every year? How do you guys handle that over that time?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's definitely a challenge, right? There's so much story to keep in your head, to keep documented. Luckily, we have a really great QA department. We have lots of very dedicated writers who keep track of everything so that we can remember it 5 years on,
right?
Or in some cases up to 10 years on, and so that's really helpful. But I think to me, it's for all that challenge, it's such a cool opportunity, right? You think how many television shows get to have 5 seasons, right? How many movies get 4 sequels? it's so rare that you get to tell a story that is that long form, that can, I can look up and refer back to a choice the player made. Someone who's been with us since the beginning, since we launched 5 years ago, they could make a choice, and then 3 years later have an expansion pack that refers to that choice, and then 2 years later have an expansion pack that refers to the reaction to that choice from before. It's something that's just so cool and so unique about our game and about the medium of games in general, that you get to tell this level of story and over this length of time. It's I wouldn't trade it. It's so cool.
Very, very cool. So a question that we got from Facebook, this comes from Thomas Berry. How do you handle story? Oh, and I want to caveat this. If you haven't finished Knights of the Eternal Throne, I'm going to be a little spoilery, so earmuffs.
Light spoilers.
Yeah, light spoilers. How do you handle the story now that the player is basically the ruler of the galaxy? Is there anything coming down to make the players feel like a power on the galactic stage?
Yeah, I think it's obviously it is a challenge, right? Like, what do you give the person who has everything, right? It's what it comes down to. And it was something, we really paused as we were writing the storyline and sitting in the room with the writers to create it. Are we willing to go that far? Are we willing to put the player in that position? And ultimately we decided, it is going to be a challenge. It is going to be hard, but it's something that we think is the natural evolution of the story up to this point. It's where everything has been leading, everything that the player has done in the past has kind of brought them to this moment. And it's actually a moment of choice as well, right? You don't necessarily become a dictator. You could, become a kind, sort of inclusionary ruler. You're not even really the ruler. You're kind of just leading an alliance that tries to benefit the galaxy as a whole, but doesn't try to rule over it.
Right.
And it's something that we just wanted to give a shot, right? Like it's again, like the mother-daughter angle, it's a story that you don't see very much. Like, what does it mean for a Jedi Knight as a character to become a leader at that rate, at that scale, this kind of political ruler? What does it mean for a smuggler of all people, right?
Right.
What does it look like when the smuggler takes charge of things? What are the choices and events that led this essentially lowly criminal to become this most important person in the galaxy?
Great shipping lanes, I imagine.
It's a really cool angle to explore, and it's something that we really definitely do plan to dive into as we move forward, right? The next beat of the story is going to be taking players to one of those new planets I mentioned. It's called Iokath. It's this droid world. It's entirely manufactured. It's a Dyson sphere. It's like a hollow, inside-out machine world with all of these deadly super weapons that are more powerful than anything in a Republic trooper. You're going to go back and bring the Republic in as your ally to your alliance and take on the Sith. Maybe you're a loyal Sith. You're going to side with the Sith, fight against the Republic and their Jedi. Or this is a chance to switch sides, right? Like maybe you're a Republic character, but you noticed in the storyline it was the Sith Empire that came to your help, much more so than the Republic ever did. They actually tried to undermine you. So this is an opportunity, or maybe you've made more dark decisions or more light decisions, and you see that as leading you to the other faction as an alliance instead. So that's going to lead to some really interesting moments, and I think really reflect your power as the leader of the alliance to kind of change things and make these important alliances, these important connections.
It sounds like there's a lot of choices coming with the war on Iokath to really show where your choices can go.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was really kind of our real takeaway for this year as a whole, right, was to really build bigger choices, more epic consequences to those choices, and let players really see the meat of what they do and how it impacts everyone across the galaxy and the characters that they know so well and are related to.
I feel like you're just handing me segues, Charles. And this is another question that we got from Facebook from Andrew Wales. And this is certainly the type of question we get fairly frequently, which is, can we get our old companions back, please? So as a part of the storyline, many of the companions have disappeared or we've lost contact with them. Some of them have returned. Some of them haven't yet. Are there any companions coming back in the short term, and what about the rest of the companions?
Yeah, I think, just speaking in general, like the companion characters are really so popular. They're beloved characters. They're people, like in my case, I spent years of my life writing them, so I'm super passionate about them as much as the fans are too. And so it's always going to be my goal to bring all of those characters back into the storyline anytime it makes sense, anytime we can find a way to make it kind of fit. And this new update is the perfect example, right? This war for Iokath is all about the Republic and the Sith getting in, making your alliances with them. And so it was a great opportunity, a very militaristic kind of update to bring in some of those military characters, bring them back. So we get to see Malavai Quinn. He's going to be serving with the Sith Empire still. He'll be returning to the storyline. He's had a really rough time of it while you've been gone. He was a companion for the Sith Warrior. He may have even betrayed you in the past, and you may get choices related to that as it moves forward. But he's had a rough time of it, so he's going to be really excited to see his old ally returned. And on the Republic side, we have Alara Dorn. That's very loyal, very by the rules, very principled. Driven by the principles that drive the Republic as a whole. Something that she takes very seriously and is very passionate about. And so, making the kind of decisions that she's going to like, you're going to have to side with the Republic if you're going to, win her over and have her as an ally. So it's going to be a great opportunity to kind of get back to meet those characters, get to know them again, catch up with what they've been up to, and hopefully moving forward that leads to more characters down the road.
Fair enough. All right, Charles. So the last question, and I'm going to do a little bit of a choose your children kind of question. But we've talked a lot about how the story has evolved over time with the Old Republic, and certainly when it comes to even companion characters, the choices that you make are always important. And so you, Charles Boyd, are you a dark side ruler or are you a light side ruler?
Yeah, I mean, I probably kind of gave it away earlier, right?
But I think you may have.
I'm kind of a softie when I'm actually playing my own characters through the storyline. So my characters are all light side rulers so far. I haven't been able to bring myself to become an evil dictator of the universe. But, time will tell. Maybe I'll manage to push that dark side button one of these days. But regardless, it's still so much fun to write it and kind of get the evil out.
Get the experience. Yep. So, I mean, as it relates to our story and playing the game, right now is one of the best times to get back in.
Yeah, we've got a really cool bonus XP event going. I think it's 2.5 times experience points. So if you want to level a character all the way up or just through the latest expansion packs, now's the time to do it. We've also got, once you hit max level, there's a 3.5 times command experience bonus going on as well, which is a huge boost. It really speeds the whole thing up a lot. It feels really cool.
Yep, for our new galactic command system, which is in Knights of the Eternal Throne.
Right.
Yep. And if you happen to be one of the players that's either you've never played before or you're coming back, one of the things that we've done is we set up a YouTube playlist for new players. So it's a lot of some of the guides that we've made personally from being able to jump right into Knights of the Eternal Throne. You can jump right into that expansion and learning how that works, or even some of our great fan site content like the Academy series from SWTOR.
Right. Those are awesome.
We have some of those videos up there as well. So if you're looking to come back or you've never played before, now's a really good time to kind of get some of that information.
Yeah.
And certainly one of the last things that we want to say today is this is our first time doing a Facebook live stream. It's been fun, and one of our goals was to really kind of just give you some insights into the team, what goes on in Charles's brain and the rest of the team in making this stuff.
And, kind of test the water. See, what are y'all into? Let us know. Give us your feedback. Let us know what else you'd like to hear us talk about on Facebook. What kind of, topics and pieces of the game you'd like to hear about.
Yeah, let us know if you loved the live stream, if you didn't like the live stream, what you want to see different, if you want to see us outside as opposed to inside the building.
Maybe we'll go get some queso and sodas and just eat chips.
Exactly. It'd be great. But anyway, so thank you guys for everyone who tuned in today. It's been a lot of fun, Charles.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you for taking the time.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure to talk with everyone and have y'all here to talk about Star Wars. Happy to do it anytime.
Yep. So thank you guys. And if you don't know, today is Valentine's Day, so please pick up your significant other a gift if you're watching this stream.
It's a good choice.
Before you go home.
Yeah, don't miss out on that one.
Probably a good idea. Thank you guys. We hope you have enjoyed the rest of your week.
Yeah, take care.
See ya.